Hello, everyone in the multiverse and beyond. This is your friend forever, Evan Lefavor, with an important video. Today, we're going to be discussing the truth about Good Friday, or as I like to call it, Bad Friday. Alright? Because the truth is, only someone who hates Jesus Christ would call the day he was murdered a good day. Alright? And that is exactly what the Romans who murdered Jesus have brainwashed you into doing. To calling Jesus, the day Jesus Christ was viciously murdered, to call that a good Friday, to call that a good day. It is a complete disgrace and disrespect to Jesus Christ to call the day he was murdered a good day, let alone a good Friday. Alright? And that is the God's honest truth about the situation. Because in case you didn't know, the same Romans that murdered Jesus by crucifying him were the same Romans that went on to start the Roman Catholic Church and create the New Testament as you know it, the Bible as we know it today. All right? And these Romans that murdered Jesus, they want to brainwash you into thinking that them murdering him was a good thing. So they came up with the lie, the evil lie, that Jesus Christ's murder was some sacrifice to pay the debt of the sins of mankind, to free the world from sin. Jesus Christ had to die on the cross. That is what the Romans that murdered Jesus, they have brainwashed you into believing that murdering Jesus was somehow a good thing. They've gone so far as to call the day he was murdered a Good Friday. All right, no one that loves Jesus would ever call the day he was murdered a good day or a Good Friday, because it was not a good day. All right, Jesus was murdered viciously. All right, and no sins went away when Jesus was murdered. The sins of mankind only got worse when mankind murdered Jesus, when the Romans murdered Jesus on the cross. Okay, the sins of mankind did not magically go away because some evil people murdered Jesus. No. Okay? So, if you want to call something a Good Friday, the day Hitler died was a good, you could call, if that was a Friday, you could call that a Good Friday. Alright? You know, something like that. You know, I could see calling the day Hitler died a Good Friday. Or the day World War II ended as a Good Friday. You know, something to celebrate, calling it a Good Friday. But you don't celebrate the murder of Jesus Christ if you love him. You do not celebrate the murder of Jesus Christ if you consider yourself to be a good person. All right? It's not to be celebrated. It's not to be called good. All right? His murder was not good. All right? The only good thing that came about from Jesus Christ being crucified and murdered is the fact that all of us alive today exist because that happened in the past. If that did not happen in the past and Jesus Christ was never murdered on the cross, it would have resulted in an alternate 2016 existing. All right? It would have created an alternate future where none of us were ever born in the first place. Okay? So that is the only good thing that came of it, all right? But that does not make his murder some good thing to be celebrated with a holiday and called a Good Friday, the day Jesus was murdered. No, it was not a good day, and it is not a good day, all right? Do not let these evil Romans brainwash you into believing that they killed Jesus and it was a good thing that they did it, all right? Because they killed him and it was not a good thing at all. But they want to brainwash you into thinking it was a good thing that they murdered him, that it somehow took away your sins, and all your sins magically go away now just because they murdered Jesus as some sacrifice. Well, Jesus Christ is not a sacrifice, okay? All right, that is the truth, all right? So if you think that your religion is the one true religion and that it is a good religion, and you celebrate the murder of Jesus Christ and call the day he was murdered a Good Friday, then you don't know Jesus. You don't know the real Jesus. You don't love Jesus, all right? You've just been brainwashed by an evil cult into celebrating the murder of someone who loves you more than you could ever imagine. All right? And that's the truth. And how do I know this? How do I know that Jesus Christ was not sent here to die on the cross? Jesus Christ did not come here to die on the cross. That was not his mission. That is not the most important thing he ever did. But the Romans that murdered Jesus want you to believe that him dying on the cross was the most important thing that he ever did. But they're wrong, all right? Jesus Christ lived an amazing life. The first 30 years of his life, he lived an amazing life. And it's his life. There's moments of his life to be celebrated, not his murder, okay? But how do I know these things? Because I am Evan Lefavor, and I am the biological father of Jesus Christ. Okay? So Jesus Christ is my son. All right? So let me ask you a question. What is so good about the day my son was murdered? I'm asking you, what do you think is so damn good about the day my son was viciously murdered on a cross by evil people? What the fuck was so good about that day that you would walk around calling it a Good Friday? All right, think about that for a little bit. All right, because you need to think about the implications before you go around celebrating this holiday. All right, so just think about it. So anyway, that's the truth. You shouldn't go around celebrating Good Friday or calling it a Good Friday. The day Jesus died and was murdered on a cross, that's a day to mourn him if you love him. To think about what kind of a different world we would be living in right now if he would have never been murdered. All right, we wouldn't be living in such an evil world. All right, if he would have never been murdered. Same with Martin Luther King. Imagine if he would have never been murdered. Or John F. Kennedy, if he would have never been murdered. We would have been living in a better world today. All right. So don't go around you wouldn't call the day Kennedy was killed a Good Friday. You wouldn't go around calling the day Martin Luther King Jr. was killed a Good Friday. So don't go around saying and calling the day Jesus Christ was murdered a Good Friday, okay? Because it's disrespectful. And it's not right. And it's not true. Jesus Christ's murder was not a good thing in the slightest, all right? It really sucks that he had to die that day, all right? But if you want to know the truth about my son Jesus Christ, check out some of my videos in the Evan Lefavor, the Father of Jesus Christ playlist that you can find in the description section of this video and on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. And thank you so much for watching this video. Now you know the truth about Good Friday. The fact that it is a bad Friday, okay? It should be called Bad Friday because the day Jesus was murdered was a bad day, all right? A very, very bad day for all of us, all right? And For everyone that loved Jesus, the day he was murdered is a bad Friday, not a good Friday. All right? So think about who would try to brainwash you into calling the day Jesus Christ was viciously murdered a Good Friday. All right? Who would brainwash you into celebrating the fact that they murdered Jesus? All right? By forcing their evil religion onto you from a young age, by forcing it onto your ancestors, by forcing it onto people in the 1500s, all right, during the Crusades, killing people that weren't Christians. All right? They used to go around killing people that didn't believe in the Bible. All right? That's how bad it got. All right? But now you know the truth. Check out my channel for the truth. All right? Because I am the Father of Jesus Christ. I am the King of the kingdom of heaven. And if you want the truth about who I am and what happened to me before I was born a human being on this planet and why I came here in the first place, and the truth about my son Jesus Christ and why he came to this planet in the first place, then you have to check out some of the other videos on my channel. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Now you know the truth about Good Friday. So remember, spread the word, spread the love, and stay safe. See you next video. Until then, bye-bye.